Chapter 2558. Chapter 2558. Chapter 2558 Punishments. Very well, long air. Don't fight to the death. The emperor glanced at long air and said indifferently. Although the emperor lord said this, his tone did not seem to indicate that he wanted Long E to show mercy. It seemed Long Air's defeat made him feel suffocated. Swish! The emperor's voice fell. Long Air rose from the ground and rushed towards Ning Road at an extremely terrifying speed. Long Air was very fast, so fast that Ning Lu did not have time to react before he closed in. Bang! A punch blasted out. Long Air's fist, which contained terrifying energy, could not be avoided and landed on Ning Lu's chest. The huge force directly sent Ning Lu flying back several feet until he hit a stone pillar behind him. Only then did he stabilize his body. This attack, Long Air had the absolute upper hand. Not enough. However, Ning Lu did not care. He raised his eyebrows at Long Air and said, "If you only have this little strength, then I'm afraid it will be difficult to defeat me." Kill! Long Air roared and suddenly dashed out. In the process of advancing, Long Air's body emitted a golden light, and a golden armor appeared all over his body. Emperor armor. The armor that Long Air wore was an early-stage emperor armor with extremely strong defensive power. Given Long Air's peak rank 5 quasi-emperor strength, he could already faintly use the power of emperor armor. Generally speaking, quasi-emperor experts, even if they had emperor magic treasures, could not unleash their full power. The emperor magic treasures that Ning Yu seized earlier were completely because the other party could not unleash their full power. Otherwise, he would probably be a cold corpse by now. The red demon sword was now an early-stage emperor flying sword. According to Ning Yu's preliminary estimation, he could only use about 40% of the red demon sword's power. Long Air was a peak rank 5 quasi-emperor. He might be able to use about 50% of the emperor armor's power. Go! Facing emperor armor. Ning Lu was not afraid. A dark green light shot out from his body and arrived in front of Long Air in the blink of an eye, slamming into Long Air's chest. Bang! This time, it was not Ning Lu who was sent flying, but Long Air. Kacha! As Dragon 2 was wearing an emperor rank armor, when he collided with the stone pillar was directly smashed into pieces. Could it be? The emperor frowned slightly when he saw the emerald green light shooting out of Ning Lu's body. He seemed to have guessed something, yet he didn't. Rumble. If it was under normal circumstances, the celestial emperor would definitely think about it carefully. After all, the information in his mind was fleeting. However, he was more concerned about the quota to go to the sacred mountain. If Long 2 couldn't win, then the final hope would be on Long to ever, since Long 2 and Ning Lu started exchanging pointers. The emperor had been paying attention to the changes in Ning Yu's expression. From the beginning to the end, Ning Yu did not show the slightest hint of panic. This shocked the Empyrean emperor. Could it be that Ning Yu didn't know about senior dragon strength? Or did Ning Yu think that he could defeat Dragon City University easily? Regardless of the situation, it wasn't good news for the imperial monarch. Looks like I have to give senior Dragon City something. The emperor glanced at Zhou Jiahao, then at Xia Hu and Xia Jia. A high-grade emperor talisman quietly appeared in his right sleeve. Swish! With a thought, the emperor forcibly tore the void apart and sent the high-grade emperor talisman to senior Dragon City. The emperor's action did not completely avoid Zhou Jiahao. Zhou Jiahao raised his eyebrows and looked at the emperor. He said in a deep voice, "I don't want the emperor to participate before the outcome of their battle is decided." No problem. The emperor smiled faintly, not minding. In any case, he had already given the high-grade emperor talisman to senior Dragon City. With a high-grade emperor talisman, so what if Ning Yu was strong? Could it be Ning Yu also had a high-grade emperor talisman? What a joke! Every high-grade emperor talisman was extremely precious and could only be refined after thousands of refinements. An ordinary high-grade Emperor talisman would find it difficult to refine even if they wanted to. Now, that senior Dragon City had a high-grade Emperor talisman. The Emperor felt that he could definitely win a spot. Bang! While the Emperor was still rejoicing over handing the high-grade Emperor talisman to senior Dragon City, the battle over there had already come to an end. Without a doubt, the winner was Ning Lu. Like Ao Xing, after fighting for a while, Ning Lu seized a flaw of long air and defeated it, losing its combat strength. You are indeed strong. The Emperor collected his thoughts and gave Ning Lu a thumbs up. He then turned to look at Senior Dragon City and said in a deep voice, "Don't embarrass the divine Wind Empire. You can only win this battle, not lose." The Emperor's tone was very heavy. There was no other way. He could not lose again. If he were to lose this battle, then he really wouldn't be able to send anyone to the Sacred Mountain. The other Empire-level forces would all send people to the Holy Mountain. Normally, the Holy Mountain envoys would turn a blind eye because they had the spots. But this time, due to Ningyu and the others stirring up trouble, it was very likely that the Divine Wind Empire would not get a single spot. This was something that the Emperor could not tolerate no matter what. Yes, Senior Dragon City nodded his head heavily. Subsequently, Senior Dragon City slowly walked to the front of Ningyu, slowly raised his right hand and said, "You are very strong, but I will not hold back." Crack! His voice faded. Senior Dragon City's bones began to change. Moreover, as his bones changed, Senior Dragon City's cultivation also soared rapidly. Bang! 1 second later, a terrifying aura exuded from Senior Dragon City's body. Rank 6 Emperor. At this moment, Senior Dragon City actually broke through the limit, and his cultivation reached rank 6 Emperor realm. My God, my God! Feeling the aura exuding from Senior Dragon City, Ningyu did not say anything, but beside him, Ning Lu and Ao Xing cursed at the same time. Senior Dragon City had such a trump card. He was just a peak rank 5 Emperor just now, and now his bones had some changes, and his cultivation actually broke through to rank 6 Emperor realm. Wasn't the speed of his cultivation a little too fast? The Emperor's means are indeed very high. Zhou Jiahao looked at the Emperor with a cold expression and said in a low voice, "You even gave him such a good thing. Looks like his position in your heart is higher than Crown Prince's." "Hoo-hoo, envoy is too serious." The Emperor smiled faintly and said, "That is Senior Dragon City's own fortuitous encounter. I can't very well deprive him of it, right? All right, enough nonsense. Let's watch the spar between Senior Dragon City and Ningyu. In my opinion, this battle is probably the most exciting one. Ningyu, do you have any problems?" Zhou Jiahao turned to look at Ningyu and asked, if Senior Dragon City was only a peak rank 5 Emperor, then Zhou Jiahao definitely would not stop him. However, Senior Dragon City advanced to rank 6 Emperor. If he let Ningyu spar with him, the possibility of failure was higher. Failure did not matter. What Zhou Jiahao was worried about was that Ningyu would be injured by Senior Dragon City. Chapter 2559. Chapter 2559. Chapter 2559. Shadow, no problem. Ning Yu's expression was grave. If Longda was only a peak rank 5 quasi-emperor, or even a half-step rank 6 quasi-emperor, he would not be worried. This was because after he advanced to the early rank for quasi-emperor, his overall strength was no weaker than an ordinary half-step rank 6 quasi-emperor. However, Long Da's bones changed, and his cultivation rose to the rank 6 quasi-emperor realm. Against a rank 6 quasi-emperor, to be honest, Ning Yu did not have absolute confidence. In fact, his chances of victory were less than 50%. After all, the gap between a rank 6 quasi-emperor and a peak rank 5 quasi-emperor was huge. Only when Ning Yu advanced to the late rank 4 quasi-emperor realm, or even the peak rank for quasi-emperor realm. Could he face Long Da head-on? Since there's no problem, let's begin. The Emperor Lord was afraid that Ning Yu would go back on his word. He waved his hand and said, Long Da, you were a peak rank 5 quasi-emperor before and could go all out. But now that you've advanced to the rank 6 quasi-emperor realm, you must control your strength. Remember not to injure Ning Yu. Understood. Long Da nodded. Please. Turning around, Long Da looked at Ning Yu and said, I'll let you make the first move. Swish. Ning Yu would not be courteous with Long Da. He leaped up and dashed out at a terrifying speed. As he moved forward, he channeled the energy in his body into the red demon's sword and slashed through the air. Whoosh! A huge sword light pierced through the void and arrived before Long Da break. Long Da clenched his right fist and punched out. Crack! The next moment, a crisp sound rang out. Following that, the huge sword light that Ning Yu slashed out shattered on the spot and dissipated between heaven and earth. This short exchange ended with Ning Yu's complete defeat. Is that all you have? After one move, Long Da's lips curled up slightly. If I had known, I would have used the cultivation of a peak rank 5 quasi-emperor to fight you. Ning Yu was not affected by Long Da. He took a deep breath and quietly transferred the energy he had absorbed from the divine wind pond into the red demon's sword. He had originally intended to leave this energy for the Dark Emperor and the others to devour. But now, in order to deal with Long Da, he had no choice but to use them in advance. The second move will defeat you. While Ning Yu was secretly transferring his energy, Long Da's right hand clenched into a fist and punched out once again. Scorpion Tyrant Fist. Following Long Da's low roar, Lin Yun's expression changed. His fist arrived in front of Ning Yu and smashed fiercely at Ning Yu's head. On top of Long Da's fist, one could vaguely see a scorpion raising its tail, wanting to drill into Ning Yu's head. Retreat. Seeing this, Zhou Jiahao's pupils shrank as he hurriedly said, Not only Zhou Jiahao. Ning Lu and Ao Xing's expressions changed drastically. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell. Long Da did not want to spar with Ning Yu. His punch was obviously meant to kill Ning Yu. Swish! At the critical moment, Zhou Jiahao leaped up and wanted to stop Long Da. But the Emperor also leaped up and stood in front of Zhou Jiahao. He said indifferently, We agreed that it was a spar. Why does the Divine Envoy want to intervene? Divine Wind Emperor, don't make a mistake. To tell you the truth, Ning Yu is someone the Great Emperor wants. If he dies here, your Divine Wind Empire will have to pay with your life. Zhou Jiahao said fiercely. He was so angry that the veins all over his body were bulging. If Ning Yu was unfortunately killed by Long Da, then he would be in trouble. Humph, you're scaring me. The Emperor snorted coldly and said in a deep voice, You agreed to the spar between Ning Yu and Long Da. Now they are at a critical moment of the spar, and you insist on interfering. Even if the Great Emperor steps in, you can't blame me. The Emperor's attitude might seem firm on the surface. However, he secretly became cautious and even began to transmit his voice to Long Da, asking him to spare Ning Yu's life. Go. Ning Yu did not pay any attention to the argument between Zhou Jiahao and the Emperor. Not only did he insert all his energy into the red demon sword, he even inserted the great Tao of devouring into it and executed the 4 forms of the divine battle god. Even a lion would use its full strength to capture a rabbit, let alone Long Da, a 6th-tier quasi-emperor. You overestimate yourself. Long Da's lips curled upward as he said sinisterly, A mere 4th-tier quasi-emperor dares to, however. Long Da's words came to an abrupt halt. Crack! A crisp sound could be heard. Ah! Following this, a miserable cry like that of a pig being slaughtered came from Long Da's mouth. What? How is this possible? This, the sudden turn of events, caused the eyes of the cultivators in the divine wind hall to widen. their faces filled with disbelief. Defeated? The 6th-tier Quasi-Emperor Long De had actually lost to the 4th-tier Quasi-Emperor Ningyu? Long De has not been defeated yet. The Emperor's face was ashen as he said in a low voice, "If I don't use it now, then when?" "You forced me to do this." Long Da's expression was cold as he immediately retrieved a talisman from his bosom and tossed it into the air. Swish! However, Ning Yu had been guarding against Long Da all along. He had just tossed the talisman into the air when Ning Yu rose from the ground. At the same time, he released all his soul power and forcefully severed the connection between Long Da and the talisman. Furthermore, Ning Yu opened the red demon sword and absorbed the talisman. You! Long Da's mouth was agape when he saw Ning Yu accept the high-grade Quasi-Emperor talisman. He even stuttered. That was a high-grade Quasi-Emperor talisman. What exactly was Ning Yu's flying sword? How could it swallow a high-grade Quasi-Emperor talisman? Of course, this was not the reason why Long Da was surprised. The reason why he was surprised was that his soul power was forcefully severed. Could it be Zhou Jiahao made a move? Otherwise, with the strength of his rank 6 Quasi-Emperor soul power, there was no reason for him to be weaker than Ning Yu. You've lost. Although Ning Yu was secretly excited after receiving Long Da's Quasi-Emperor talisman, he looked very calm on the surface. He looked at Long Da and said calmly, "A rank 6 Quasi-Emperor is not necessarily very powerful." In fact, Ning Yu's victory in this battle was partly due to luck. Fortunately, Long Da was arrogant and did not use the high-grade Quasi-Emperor talisman immediately. Otherwise, it was almost impossible for him to easily defeat Long Da, Divine Wind Emperor. Ning Yu won this battle. "I'm sorry, but you did not get a single quota to enter the sacred mountain." Zhou Jiahao stood up and said in a clear voice, "This matter cannot be delayed. I still have to go back and report. I'll bring Ning Yu and the others to the sacred mountain now." "I won't send you off," the Emperor said with a cold expression. He suffered a crushing defeat in this contest. The few genius experts of the Divine Wind Empire did not even win a single match. His plan was declared to have failed. Whoosh! Zhou Jiahao did not linger. He immediately brought Ning Yu and sped out of the Divine Wind Palace. After Zhou Jiahao and the others left, the Emperor waved his hand and said coldly to the void beside him, "Ning Yu, go personally. You must kill Ning Yu and the others on their way to the sacred mountain." "Emperor, where's His Highness the Crown Prince?" A hoarse voice came from the void. Chapter 2560. There were a total of 3 forbidden areas in the 100 Forest Weave: Hengduan Mountain Range, Endless Sea, Myriad Demon Forest. From the Divine Wind Empire to the Sacred Mountain, the shortest route was to first use the Space Teleportation Array, then pass through the 10,000 Demon Forest, and finally use the Space Teleportation Array to reach the foot of the Sacred Mountain. When he arrived, Zhou Jiahao and the others did not choose to go through the 10,000 Demon Forest because they had enough time. However, on his way back, Zhou Jiahao suddenly received a message from the Holy Mountain saying that the Holy Mountain assembly would be held in advance. He felt helpless. Zhou Jiahao and the others could only choose to pass through the 10,000 Demon Forest. Swish, swish, swish. In front of the 10,000 Demons Forest, Ning Yu and the others landed. Ever since leaving the Divine Wind Pool, Ning Yu had returned directly to Yang Yuming's residence. He brought the Dark Emperor and the others along and placed them into the Red Demon Sword. Even Mo Xiao of the Dragon War Empire was brought along by Ning Yu. After entering the 10,000 Demon Forest, everyone stay close to me. Do not release your aura. Zhou Jiahao took out a token from his bosom and said in a deep voice, "This token has been blessed by a great emperor. It is the pass to the 10,000 Demon Forest." During the conversation, Zhou Jiahao leapt up and was the first to rush into the 10,000 Demon Forest. Retreat quickly. However, before Zhou Jiahao entered the 10,000 demon forest, his pupils shrank and he quickly retreated. Bang! Even though Zhou Jiahao's retreat speed was very fast, he was still hit in the chest by a cultivator who appeared out of thin air. His body flew out and fell heavily to the ground. Even the token was taken away by the other party. The 10,000 demon token has been blessed by the great emperor before. The cultivator who appeared in the air looked at the medallion in his hand. Then he said in a hoarse voice, "I originally thought that this operation would be boring. However, it looks like it is rather interesting." "How dare you steal the great emperor's token?" Zhou Jiahao's expression changed, and he said coldly, "Aren't you afraid of being hunted down by the great emperor?" Hunted by a great sovereign? The martial artist that appeared in the void, smiled faintly and said, "I've heard a little about the situation in Sacred Mountain. There are countless envoys like you. If I kill you and take away the great emperor's token, who would know that I did it?" "You're courting death." Zhou Jiahao shouted angrily. As an emissary of the Sacred Mountain, he had been to many places. You could say so. Within the 100 Forest Weave, only this black-robed cultivator dared to openly block the road. Who else would dare to oppose the Sacred Mountain? Are they from the Château Weave? Zhou Jiahao frowned and thought to himself, the people from the 100 Forest Weave wouldn't dare to attack him. This was something that he was 100% certain of. Recently, there had been some friction between the Château Weave and the 100 Forest Weave, and they were competing against each other. In the past, Château Weave might not have attacked them, but this time it was a matter of life and death for two weaves. Château Weave might very well take the risk. After all, Ning Road, this world tree, was the key of the key. I'm familiar with this person. Yang Yeming's expression changed slightly. He didn't know why, but he felt like he had seen this black-robed martial artist somewhere before. Hua! At this moment, the void in the distance split open again. Two martial artists appeared from the void. "It's you!" Yang Yeming was very familiar with the two martial artists that appeared this time. Not only was Yang Yeming familiar with it, even Zhou Jiahao had heard of it. Yang Zhaokai, Qin He. He was right. These two were Yang Zhaokai and Qin He. However, Yang Zhaokai's cultivation had already broken through to the early Fourth Order Quasi-Emperor realm. Even Yang Zhaokai had reached the early Sixth Order Quasi-Emperor realm. "That's us. Looks like you're smart enough to know that we're back." Yang Zhaokai raised his brows and looked at Yang Yeming with interest. "Tell me, how do you want to die? Are you going to be killed by me or commit suicide?" "Stupid teammate." Aning was so angry that his nose was crooked. With his 7th Order Quasi-Emperor cultivation, killing Ningyu and the others should have been a piece of cake. Moreover, he didn't have to worry about being exposed. But now, the appearance of Yang Zhaokai and Qin, he was clearly telling Yang Yeming and the others that the Divine Wind Empire wanted to kill them. Once Zhou Jiahao sent the news back to the Sacred Mountain, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Forget it, I'll use a high-grade talisman." And Ing sighed softly, then took out a talisman from his bosom and threw it into the air. Boom! In a split second, several beams of light shot out from the talisman, surrounding Zhou Jiahao and Ningyu. High-grade, quasi-emperor talisman. There were several types. The combat type, like the talisman that Longde used earlier. Of course, Ningyu had already stored it into the red demon sword. The defense type, like the one that Aning was using now, surrounded the surroundings, making it difficult for the people inside to get out and difficult for the people outside to get in. Go! Aning did not waste words. He directly attacked, charging at Zhou Jiahao and the remaining two 6th Order Quasi-Emperors. Among Ning Yu's group, Zhou Jiahao was an early 6th Order Quasi-Emperor, and so were Xie Hu and Xie Jia. And Ying's thinking was very simple. He was responsible for killing Zhou Jiahao and the others, while Yang Zhaokai and Qin he would deal with Ningyu and the others. With Qin He's early 6th order quasi-emperor cultivation, even if he could not kill Ningyu, he could still delay them. As long as he could buy himself 3 minutes, everything would be over. Explode! The ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Ning had just started fighting with Zhou Jiahao and the others. Before a minute had passed, Ningyu let out a low shout and directly detonated the high-grade quasi-emperor talisman that he had obtained from Long de Rumble. Ning was slightly taken aback by the loud explosion. He had forgotten about this. Ningyu had snatched away Long Da's high-grade talisman. The appearance of Yang Zhaokai and Qin he had delayed some time. Ningyu was not a fool. He would definitely activate the high-grade quasi-emperor talisman. Uft! Uft! The power of a high-grade quasi-emperor talisman was extremely powerful. Qin He and Yang Zhaokai were blasted away on the spot, landing heavily on the ground. After defeating Qin He and Yang Zhaokai in one move, Ningyu did not stay where he was. Instead, he charged at Ning with Ning Lu and Ao Xing. As for Yang Zhaokai and Qin He, they were handed over to Yang Yiming to deal with. Although Yang Yiming's cultivation was only peak rank 3 quasi-emperor, he had no problem dealing with the heavily injured Yang Zhaokai and Qin He. Ha ha ha, good. Today, the 6 of us will join hands and kill this high-grade quasi-emperor. With the addition of Ningyu and Ao Xing, Zhou Jiahao threw his head back and laughed wildly, becoming full of confidence. The strength of Ningyu and Ao Xing were very powerful. With the 6 of them joining hands, they might really be able to kill a high-grade quasi-emperor. Bang! Bang! It was very obvious. Zhou Jiahao was happy a little too early. Ning forcefully sent out 2 punches. One landed on Xia Hu and the other on Xia Jia. Each of these 2 punches contained horrifying energy fluctuations. Xia Hu and Xia Jia only lasted for a moment before their bodies were sent flying backward. Swoosh! The sudden change made Zhou Jiahao's heart sink to the bottom. He seemed to have overestimated the strength of his side, muttering about the strength of a high-grade quasi-emperor. Chapter 2561. Chapter 2561. Chapter 2561. Carelessness. Overestimating yourselves. Do you think a bunch of nobodies like you are qualified to stop me? After defeating Xia Hu and Xia Jia with 2 punches, Ying's lips curled up slightly. He looked at Zhou Jiahao and said coldly, "The geniuses of the Sacred Mountain are nothing more than this. After today, the Sacred Mountain will have 3 less 3 less trash." Swoosh! His voice faded, and Ying's figure flashed and immediately charged at Zhou Jiahao. Damn it! Zhou Jiahao cursed inwardly. Among the 3 envoys of the Sacred Mountain, Xia Hu and Xia Jia were relatively weak and not very strong. However, even if they were not strong, they could contend head-on with a peak rank 6 quasi-emperor. But even so, Xia Hu and Xia Jia were still easily defeated, not even able to block a single move. Split up and run. Zhou Jiahao hurriedly transmitted his soul to Ningyu and Ao Xing, saying, "A high-level quasi-emperor is very powerful. With our strength, there is no way we can contend against him. You guys enter the 10,000 demon forest. I will try to block this high-level quasi-emperor for 3 seconds." In Zhou Jiahao's heart, the lives of Ningyu and the others were much more important than his. After all, they were the people that the emperor personally wanted. There must be no mistakes. Block me for 3 seconds? I can defeat a trash like you in 1 move. Ning did not slow down. He suddenly accelerated and arrived in front of Zhou Jiahao. His right hand clenched into a fist, and with a violent energy wave he punched at Zhou Jiahao's head. This punch was powerful and heavy. Even if Zhou Jiahao had a trump card, he absolutely could not withstand it. Stop! At the critical moment, Ningyu raised his head and shouted coldly, "If you don't want Yang Zhaokai to die, stop as soon as possible. Otherwise, Yang Zhaokai will die without a doubt. Swoosh! Ning Yu's words caused Ning to be slightly taken aback. Yang Zhaokai! According to the emperor, he killed Yang Yeming, so Yang Zhaokai was naturally the crown prince of the Divine Wind Empire. But now, Yang Zhaokai thought he was clever and came to encircle Ningyu and the others, but eventually fell into Ningyu's hands. Shadow had no doubt about it. If he really killed Zhou Jiahao, Ningyu would definitely kill Yang Zhaokai without mercy. After cursing silently, Ning had no choice but to stop his attacks. He turned to look at Ningyu and said, "Do you think I care about Yang Zhaokai's life or death?" "You don't care?" Ningyu exerted some force in his right hand, raised the red demon sword, and slashed at Yang Zhaokai's right arm. Kacha! Then a crisp sound rang out. Yang Zhaokai's right arm was directly cut off by Ningyu. Actually, Ningyu had to thank Shadow for cutting off Yang Zhaokai's arm. The high-rank quasi-emperor talisman that he used enveloped Yang Zhaokai, Yang Yeming, and the others inside. Otherwise, given Ningyu's strength, he really had no way to break the defense of a high-ranked quasi-emperor talisman. "You're courting death." And Ning looked coldly at Ningyu and said fiercely, "I'll say it one last time if you know what's good for you. Release Yang Zhaokai as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll let you know why flowers are so red." Kacha! In response to Ning, Ningyu's red demon sword slashed down again. Without a doubt, Yang Zhaokai's left arm was forcefully cut off. Damn it! And Ying's face was ashen. If Ningyu had only cut off Yang Zhaokai's arms, he would not be so nervous. After all, Yang Zhaokai had already advanced to the middle rank quasi-emperor and could completely regenerate his arm. But, according to this trend, the next thing Ningyu would cut off would be Yang Zhaokai's legs, and then his head. Once his head was cut off, Yang Zhaokai's life would come to an end. Release Zhou Jiahao. Ningyu did not play by the rules. He placed the red demon sword on Yang Zhaokai's neck and said coldly, "I don't want to say the same thing twice." Scram! And Ying's eyes flickered. Finally, he lifted his right leg and kicked Zhou Jiahao toward Ningyu. Bang! Ningyu continued to place the red demon sword on Yang Zhaokai's neck. Yang Yeming, who was beside him, was responsible for catching Zhou Jiahao. In fact, Xia Hu and Xia Jia also dragged their heavy footsteps to stand beside Ningyu. "I advise you to surrender as soon as possible, because you won't be able to leave." And Ning crossed his arms in front of his chest and regained his composure. "Unless a high-level quasi-emperor makes a move, no one can break the defense set up by a high-level quasi-emperor talisman." "Is that so?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows. "Do you dare to make a bet with me?" "Bet? What bet?" And Ning was slightly taken aback, but he still asked, "If I can break the defense set up by a high-level quasi-emperor talisman with one punch, then you will let us go." Ningyu casually tossed Yang Zhaokai to Ao Xing and said calmly with the red demon sword in his hand, "Are you that confident in yourself?" And Ning was somewhat confused. What exactly was Ningyu up to? Not to mention a rank 4 quasi-emperor. Even a peak rank 6 quasi-emperor might not be able to break the defense. Could it be that Ningyu had a trump card? The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. However, Ning did not expose Ningyu. He thought for a moment, then said, "I'll give you this chance. One move. If you can break the defense in one move, I will let you go. But if you can't break the defense in one move, then you will all die." "Deal." Ningyu shrugged. Given Ningyu's current mental state, it was impossible for him to break the defense in one move. However, Ningyu was not a hothead. Just now, Ning Lu, Ao Xing, and even Zhou Jiahao and Yang Yeming had quietly injected their energy into his body. After gathering the energy of so many people, the power of Ningyu's next punch would depend on the power of an ordinary early rank 7 quasi-emperor. Of course, Ning Yu was not stupid enough to reveal his trump card so quickly. He raised his right leg and kicked Qin He in front of him. Looking at Ning Yu said, "You don't mind if I devour this trash in front of you, right?" "I don't mind." And Ning had an indifferent expression. Qin, he was only an early rank 6 quasi-emperor. Even if Ning Yu devoured him, could his cultivation rise to the middle rank 4? Not to mention whether he could raise his cultivation to the middle rank 4. Even if he could, and Ning was not worried, because a middle rank for quasi-emperor could not break the defense set up by a high-level quasi-emperor talisman. That's good. Ning Yu moved forward slightly and stepped on Qin He's chest with his right foot. A terrifying devouring power instantly emerged. Ah! A miserable scream came from Qin He's mouth. "Young master, save me! Young master, save me!" Qin He did not ask Ning for help, because he knew that even if he asked Ning for help, Ning would not help him. Only by asking young Zhaokai for help would he have a chance to live. "Ning Yu, don't go too far." Yang Zhaokai's expression was cold as he said, "Qin He is my man. If you let him go, I can plead on your behalf and let you leave alive." "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child?" Ning Yu curled his lips and said indifferently, "If you want Qin He to live, let that high-level quasi-emperor break the defense first. There's no need to discuss anything else." Qin He was the key. Ning Yu would not let him go. Chapter 2562. Plot. Ning Yu had already thought about it. He swallowed Qin He and did not think about breaking through to the middle 4th rank quasi-emperor. Instead, he wanted to keep the energy in Qin He's body and use it to attack the defense set up by the high-level quasi-emperor talisman. The energy in the body of an early 6th rank quasi-emperor naturally could not break through the defense. In that case, Ning would very likely seize the opportunity to attack. Once Ning attacked, he would fall right into Ning Yu's trap. Ning Yu was not a fool. He thought more. Even if he broke through the defense, Ning would never let them leave. Rather than that, he might as well plot against Ning. He might even succeed. Ah! As Ning Yu swallowed Qin He screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Ning Yu did not deliberately speed up and even slowed down a little. It took him a full 10 minutes to completely devour Qin He, turning him into a piece of human skin. Mission accomplished. Ning Yu kicked Qin He away before moving his feet and slowly walking towards Umbra's side. In order to act more realistically, Ning Yu took the risk of being attacked by Ning and moved slightly closer to him. To tell the truth, Ning Yu's heart beat much faster. At this moment, as long as Ning attacked, the possibility of Ning Yu being killed would be very high. Therefore, Ning Yu was highly focused, paying close attention to the changes in Ning's expression. Go. After confirming that Ning had no intention of launching a sneak attack, Ning Yu pretended to transfer the energy that he had swallowed Qin He to his fist and threw a punch at the defense around him. Crack! Crack! The energy in a 6th rank quasi-emperor was still very strong. Ning Yu's punch directly caused the defense to make cracking sounds, as if it was about to shatter. Far from enough. Ning watched all this coldly. How could the energy in a mere 6th rank quasi-emperor break through the defense? Shadow's thoughts were simple. Once Ning Yu showed the slightest sign of weakness, he would immediately attack and kill Ning Yu by force. Or in other words, they didn't want to kill Ning Yu. They just wanted to capture Ning Yu. In that case, they could at least use Ning Yu to exchange for Yang Zhaokai. What are you waiting for? Ning Yu didn't seem too disappointed when he failed to break through Shadow's defense. Instead, he kept his perception on Shadow. It was just an act. If he couldn't deceive Ning, what was the point of putting on an act this time? His eyes darted around. With a thought, Ning Yu stimulated his body and forcefully spat out a mouthful of blood. Puchi! Dark red blood spurted out. Ning Yu's face also turned a little pale. Now, as soon as Ning Yu spat out a mouthful of blood, and Ying seized the opportunity to leap forward. And Ying's speed was very fast. Almost in an instant, he arrived in front of Ningyu. There was no hesitation. And Ying clenched his right fist and punched out at Ningyu's head. It seemed that Ying's punch was powerful, but it wasn't. In order to prevent Ningyu from being killed, Ying only used 80% of his strength. 80% of his strength could easily defeat Ningyu, but it wouldn't be enough to kill him. Good chance. And Ying's forceful attack made Ningyu overjoyed. He had been waiting for this moment. And Ying didn't know that he had gathered a lot of energy in his body and arrogantly didn't use his full strength. Boom! Similarly, he clenched his right fist. Ning, you didn't use any fancy moves, and punched out. Bang! In an instant, Ningyu's fist collided with Ying's. Two fists collided. Ning, you didn't move from his spot, but Dark Shadow was sent flying several feet away. He only stopped when his body collided with the defensive wall behind him. Poochie! And Ying spat out a mouthful of blood, and Ying's aura began to drop rapidly in a short period of time. And Ying's aura had already dropped to the peak of the 6th rank Quasi-Emperor realm. Come back! And Ying's expression changed dramatically as his aura dropped. He immediately withdrew the high-level Quasi-Emperor talisman and held it in his hand. He looked at Ningyu warily and said, "You cheated." Cheated? Haha. Ningyu smiled faintly and said, "How can it be called cheating when I'm a mortal enemy? Moreover, it was you who attacked me first. I shouldn't be the one who cheated, but you who didn't keep your word. Originally, I had already planned to surrender, but you insisted on attacking me. What else could I do? I can't just give up, can I?" And Ying's expression was gloomy. Although Ningyu's punch did not kill him, it made his aura drop seriously. At the very least, his strength had dropped by more than half. Under such circumstances, he did not dare to fight with Ningyu anymore. Who knew if Ningyu still had a trump card? It was fine if he did not have a trump card, but once he had a trump card, if he forcefully attacked again, the consequences would be unimaginable. It's over, it's all over. Seeing Ying being repelled by Ningyu, Yang Zhaokai's face turned pale, his heart sinking to the bottom. At this time, Yang Zhaokai was very regretful. If he had known earlier, he definitely would not have come. He originally thought that with an Ying, a high-level quasi-emperor around, he could fish in troubled waters and take revenge. Who would have thought even a high-level quasi-emperor and Ying was defeated? Now, he just did not know if the emperor had a backup. If the emperor had a backup, it would be fine. If he did not, he and Ying would both die here. Go! Ningyu did not continue to attack, but grabbed Yang Zhaokai's arm and dashed straight towards the 10,000 demon forest. Swoosh! The moment Ningyu left, Ninglu, Zhou Jiahao, and the rest hurriedly followed. Staying any longer was clearly courting death. Just now, Ningyu's attack had drained all the energy in everyone's body. At this time, forget about an Ying. Even an ordinary rank 1 quasi-emperor was enough to easily kill them. What's going on? The sudden departure of Ningyu and the rest made Ying a little dumbfounded. He did not know what price Ningyu paid for that move. He only knew that his current combat strength had dropped, and it was not suitable to pursue. If Ningyu could still use the same move, then he would die without a doubt. Wait for me to recuperate first. And Ying took a deep breath and took out a jade bottle from his bosom. Crack! Without hesitation, he directly threw the jade bottle into his mouth and chewed. The jade bottle shattered, and a few medicinal pills entered his body through Ying's throat. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely notice that all of these pills were at the peak of the initial stage Emperor rank. It was indeed a waste for Ying to swallow several peak early Emperor rank medicinal pills at once. However, the effects of peak early Emperor rank medicinal pills were still very good. After swallowing a few peak early Emperor rank medicinal pills, Ying's injuries recovered at an extremely fast speed. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. In 10 minutes, several peak early emperor rank medicinal pills had been consumed, and Ying's cultivation had completely recovered to its peak state. In fact, his strength had also improved. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.